In The Black Swan, The Impact of the Highly Improbable, Nassim Nicola Taleb explores the profound effects of rare, unpredictable events that lie outside our usual expectations, which he calls black swans. These events, though statistically unlikely, have a massive impact on the world, from financial markets to technological breakthroughs to personal life. Taleb argues that conventional ways of understanding and predicting the future fail because they overlook these outliers. Instead, he proposes a new way of thinking that embraces uncertainty, expects the unexpected, and builds resilience against the unknowable. The essence, 80/20ths. What is a black swan? Taleb defines a black swan event by three main characteristics. It is highly unpredictable, has a massive impact, and is often rationalized in hindsight as something that could have been anticipated. Black swans range from the 2008 financial crisis to unexpected scientific breakthroughs, and they play a far larger role in shaping history than we realize. Taleb argues that our focus on the predictable blinds us to these extreme, transformative events. The problem with prediction and the narrative fallacy. Taleb critiques society's reliance on prediction models that are based on historical data, which often ignore the potential for rare events. He describes the narrative fallacy, or our tendency to create stories to explain random events in hindsight. This tendency to make the world seem logical and predictable leads us to overestimate our understanding and ignore randomness, making us vulnerable to black swans. Mediocristan versus Extremistan. Taleb introduces two domains: Mediocristan, where events follow a normal distribution and extremes are rare, e.g., human height, and Extremistan, where outliers have a disproportionate impact, e.g., wealth distribution, book sales. He argues that we mistakenly apply models from Mediocristan, predictable averages, to phenomena that belong to Extremistan, where a single event can dominate outcomes, which results in fragile systems and flawed decision-making. The limits of expertise. Taleb challenges the notion that experts can accurately predict black swans, particularly in complex fields like economics and finance. He argues that experts are often overconfident in their ability to forecast and tend to overlook low-probability events. Instead, Taleb emphasizes that knowledge has limits and that true expertise lies in recognizing the role of uncertainty and embracing humility rather than making precise predictions. Embracing uncertainty and building resilience. Taleb advocates for an anti-fragile approach, where individuals and systems are not only resilient to black swan events but actually benefit from them. This involves diversification, avoiding excessive debt, and being prepared for a range of outcomes rather than relying on specific predictions. By embracing uncertainty and building flexibility, one can thrive in unpredictable environments and even leverage black swan events for growth. The action plan: accept uncertainty and avoid over-reliance on predictions. Taleb encourages readers to shift away from deterministic thinking and embrace uncertainty. This means understanding that we cannot predict black swans and should not rely on linear forecasts, particularly in areas like finance or business. Avoid strategies that depend on knowing the future. Instead, remain flexible and open to a range of possibilities. Diversify and prepare for extremes. In an unpredictable world, Taleb suggests a barbell strategy, where you invest conservatively in highly secure options but also allocate a small portion to high-risk, high-reward opportunities. This approach balances protection and growth, allowing you to benefit from black swans while safeguarding against potential losses. Recognize the limits of expertise. Question the confidence of experts and avoid blindly trusting their predictions, especially in fields prone to black swan events, such as economics or financial markets. Instead, seek multiple perspectives, and when possible, rely on simple and robust strategies that do not require expert forecasts. Cultivate an anti-fragile mindset. Aim to build resilience and anti-fragility by focusing on adaptability, learning, and continuous improvement. Avoid rigid plans or heavy commitments that leave little room for change. Whether in personal finance or career, look for ways to benefit from volatility and randomness rather than trying to eliminate them. Be cautious of narrative fallacies when analyzing past events. Resist the temptation to oversimplify or create explanations that make outcomes seem predictable in hindsight. Embrace the complexity of reality by understanding that events are often random and interconnected in ways we can't fully comprehend. Recognize that some things simply cannot be explained, and let this insight guide a humble, flexible approach to decision-making. Blind spot. One critique of The Black Swan is that Taleb's recommendations may seem vague or difficult to apply practically, especially for those used to structured planning and decision-making. His emphasis on avoiding prediction and embracing uncertainty may feel counterintuitive or unsettling for readers seeking concrete strategies. Additionally, Taleb's strong critiques of experts and traditional methods may come across as overly skeptical, though his ideas are meant to encourage humility in the face of uncertainty. Connected Knowledge, Fooled by Randomness, by Nassim Nicola Taleb. This earlier work by Taleb further explores the role of chance in success and failure, particularly in financial markets. It complements the Black Swan by examining the ways people misinterpret randomness and underestimate its influence. Anti-Fragile, Things That Gain from Disorder, by Nassim Nicola Taleb. In Anti-Fragile, Taleb expands on his ideas from the Black Swan, offering a more in-depth look at how individuals and systems can benefit from volatility and chaos. This book outlines strategies for building anti-fragility, providing practical insights into thriving in uncertain environments. Thinking, Fast and Slow, by Daniel Kahneman. Kahneman's exploration of human cognitive biases, particularly in relation to probability and uncertainty, complements Taleb's ideas on prediction and decision-making. Kahneman's research provides insight into why we often fail to anticipate or understand Black Swan events. Let's dive deeper into some key concepts from the Black Swan, specifically anti-fragility, Taleb's critique of expertise, and his alternative approach to risk management. These ideas extend the book's foundational principles, offering practical ways to build resilience in an uncertain world and challenge traditional methods of understanding and managing risk. 1. Anti-fragility, Thriving from Chaos. In the Black Swan, Taleb introduces the idea of resilience in the face of uncertainty, which he later expands on in Anti-Fragile, Things That Gain from Disorder. Anti-fragility goes beyond simple resilience. It describes systems, people, or strategies that benefit from volatility, randomness, and stress. While fragile systems break down under pressure and resilient ones survive, anti-fragile systems adapt and improve, growing stronger in response to chaos. Applications of anti-fragility. 1. Investing and finance. In investments, anti-fragility can be achieved through the barbell strategy. 1. This involves allocating most of your resources to low-risk, stable assets while setting aside a smaller portion for high-risk, high-reward opportunities. 1. The stable investments protect you from significant losses, while the riskier investments allow you to capture the benefits of extreme market events. 2. Career development. Embracing anti-fragility in career planning might mean diversifying your skills and embracing challenges or uncertainties. 2. By continuously learning, adapting to new trends, and taking on projects that stretch your abilities, you can build a career that thrives on change rather than being disrupted by it. 3. Health and fitness. In health, anti-fragility can involve practices like intermittent fasting, varied exercise routines, or cold exposure, which challenge the body and stimulate it to adapt and become stronger. By applying anti-fragility principles, individuals and systems can move beyond mere survival and actually leverage uncertainty to grow and improve. 2. Taleb's critique of expertise and forecasting. One of Taleb's more provocative arguments in The Black Swan is his skepticism toward experts, especially in fields like finance, economics, and risk management. He argues that traditional experts often fail to predict Black Swan events because they rely on flawed assumptions, historical data, and models that underestimate extreme outliers. Taleb suggests that experts, rather than admitting the limits of their knowledge, often overstate their ability to forecast accurately, which can lead to misguided decisions and excessive confidence. Key points in Taleb's critique. 1. Overconfidence and blind spots. Taleb contends that experts frequently suffer from overconfidence, assuming that their knowledge of past events can predict future outcomes. 1. This expert illusion gives them a false sense of control over complex systems, particularly those in extremistan, where unpredictable and extreme events dominate. 2. The problem with historical data. Taleb argues that past data is often irrelevant when trying to anticipate black swans, as these events by definition are unprecedented. 2. Relying too heavily on past trends blinds experts to the potential for unique, game-changing occurrences. 3. Misleading complexity. Complex statistical models are often used to give an appearance of scientific rigor, but Taleb suggests that these models frequently oversimplify reality or make erroneous assumptions. 3. The result is a reliance on models that don't account for the randomness and uncertainty of real-world events. Alternative approach to expertise. 1. Heuristics and robust principles. Taleb advocates for using simple, time-tested heuristics over complex models. 1. For example, a heuristic like, never invest more than you can afford to lose, is more reliable than a highly complex financial forecast. 2. Acknowledging limits, rather than pretending to have precise predictions. True expertise, in Taleb's view, involves humility and an understanding of one's own limitations. 2. Experts should focus on creating systems that are resilient to unknowns rather than attempting to eliminate uncertainty. 3. Taleb's approach to risk management. Embracing uncertainty. Traditional risk management often aims to quantify risk and control for it, relying on models to predict probabilities. Taleb argues that this approach is flawed when it comes to black swan events, which are inherently unpredictable. Instead, he advocates for robustness and anti-fragility as foundations for managing risk in unpredictable environments. Key principles for managing risk in an uncertain world. 1. Barbell strategy. This approach is one of Taleb's core methods for managing risk. 1. It involves dividing resources into two extremes, extremely safe and extremely speculative. 1. By balancing conservative investments with a smaller portion of high-risk investments, you avoid the middle ground where you're most vulnerable to unforeseen events. 2. Minimizing exposure to fragility. Taleb advises avoiding structures or systems that are highly sensitive to failure, such as excessive debt, overly complex investments, or dependencies on a single income source. 2. By reducing fragility, individuals and organizations are less vulnerable to collapse in times of crisis. 3. Optionality and flexibility. Rather than betting on a specific outcome, Taleb recommends maximizing optionality, the ability to adapt and pivot. 3. Options, both in finance and in life, give you the ability to capitalize on positive surprises while limiting losses if things go poorly. 3. For instance, learning diverse skills provides you with multiple career paths and the flexibility to adapt to changing job markets. 4. Fail-safe mentality. Rather than attempting to avoid risk altogether, Taleb encourages building systems that fail safely. 4. This means creating scenarios where potential losses are capped or manageable. 4. For example, placing smaller, experimental investments in volatile markets allows you to limit losses while still potentially benefiting from large gains. Key takeaways. Embrace unpredictability. Taleb's primary message is that unpredictability and extreme events are an unavoidable part of life. Instead of fearing randomness, we should learn to work with it, allowing flexibility, adaptability, and resilience to guide our decisions. Challenge conventional wisdom. Taleb calls for a healthy skepticism toward traditional models, experts, and predictions, especially in complex, unpredictable domains. True wisdom comes from understanding limitations and being prepared for the unknown. Build anti-fragile systems. Apply anti-fragility principles to different aspects of life, investing, career, health, and relationships, to create structures that can withstand shocks and even thrive on them. Use the barbell strategy for risk management. To balance security and growth, adopt a dual approach that combines conservative, stable investments with a small allocation to high-risk, high-reward options. This approach minimizes losses while keeping the door open for unexpected gains. In sum, the Black Swan offers a framework for understanding a world shaped by rare, high-impact events. Taleb's approach to anti-fragility, his skepticism toward conventional expertise, and his flexible strategies for managing risk offer practical guidance for thriving in a world that defies prediction. By embracing the unknown and building systems that benefit from chaos, individuals and organizations can become resilient and even grow stronger in the face of adversity.